So the first thing I would like to address is, what is the tripod going down? Just a Welcome to Healthy Living with Christina's Changwa. Yay! I'm so happy to be before you yet on another shooting day. And I just would like to invite you to like, share, and subscribe. So today is, as you can see, a day of random thoughts.
Tripod malfunction, so video take 2.
Today's thoughts are going to be like the most random things about the most random things that I feel like are all lessons in a way that the Lord and I have shared. I'm going to do another video, and then I know I deliberately say those things so that I'm held accountable. But I'm going to do another video about certain things that the Lord has taught me that I feel like are going to be beneficial. But for today, these are the most random things that have hit home for me. Number one, support is not always monetary. I'm saying that like I'm not saying it to negate one or the other, and I'm also not saying it to say one is superior to the other. I do think if you support someone financially, it means the world to them, because the Bible does tell us that where someone's money is where their heart is. So I'd like to believe that an expression of your feelings is going to involve money one way or another. So yes, it's amazing. At the same time, what someone needs sometimes is a little bit more than money. Sometimes, like when I'm in not such a great place, I'll give an example of yesterday. I was struggling with something which I will share later on. I was struggling with something like merging certain two worlds together, and I was on a phone call with my younger sister, Lambwe, and we were just having like conversations, and I was sharing with her like, I really just enjoy how the Lord and I in our relationship, we have such a different way in which he communicates with me. And yesterday it was like a puzzle. It was like a hunt, and it was through various sermons. Like, I'm a podcast girly, so I was listening to a podcast earlier in the day. I think it was Ingredients of Breakthrough by Pastor Daniel, and there's something he shared there that I literally just started ugly crying, because that word, it hit straight into my spirit. Right shortly after that, like it was just literally like that, like I was just slowly but surely being exposed to exactly what I needed until it fully meshed. Right, and I don't think it would have been a complete puzzle. You can put all the 99 pieces, but if one is missing, it's not complete. And that's what the phone call was like with my sister, like her just sharing with me a certain different perspective is support that I needed, that was more than financial. Because what had happened was that someone said, I was in a very sensitive period, and someone said something to me that would just seem like black and white, right? But I feel like it dug at something that was traumatic to me in the past. So I feel like I was reacting more than I should have. The person should not have said that. The words were not nice. But usually I can take it in stride. I was reacting more than I should have. And so I was picking her brain, like how best can I I never want to lose, me and being a boss. I don't want to react like this every time someone maybe says that, right? Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's what I was trying to share, that support is not always monetary, but it's still important. The Bible tells us that as believers, we shouldn't just be out there dishing each other love and faith and hope, but that also we must put our money where our mouth is. For lack of a better term, you know what? I'm gonna put it right there, just to remind you that sometimes you're going to need to support someone financially. Like, by that I mean sometimes your your kind words and whatever won't change the fact that the person just really wants to go to school. But you helping them pay their school fees, or even just what you can manage towards their school fees, I believe can do a world of change for them, especially if they have a grateful heart, right? Then number 2, what I've been meditating on is that excuses expire. I first heard this from Mr. Dumisani. He came to our church for a special Sunday. It was professional Sunday, and he was in a panel conversation with our pastor, and I remember that's when he touched on that excuses expire. So he was sharing about his past and how you can grow up an orphan and not have certain privileges, and then you find you're 30, you're still explaining the same reason as for why so on and so forth is happening. And I gave an example of this in my last video where I was sitting in this place, and I talked about how don't worry, all these things are leading up to something. Clip at the end. So and I talked about how there was a season where, and I used the word season. At the time, I didn't know if it was going to change. I didn't know if that was my life. Was I always going to be a stay-at-home mom, even though I wanted to be like Carrie Job and Cody Carnes, right? I was asking the Lord, like, I'm sure you will mesh all this together, but because you make all things beautiful in time. So at the time, my daughter was like my world, and even then I tried as much as I can because I don't adjust that great to change. So I used to put certain measures. For instance, I didn't sleep with her from the time she was born. I'd put her in her crib. I made her sort of get used to it so that we could separate without it being such like having extreme separation and anxiety between the two of us. And sometimes I would dip, like just to dip, because I felt like I knew that the life God had for me was busy. Like right now, I wouldn't be able to shoot this if her and I were just the air that each other breathe. And trust me, we are. But this period has been so busy for me, and she's been such a big girl about it. And I'm grateful because I think it's been easy on the both of us because it's been sort of years in the making. So that excuse for, oh my God, I gotta put the baby to sleep and whatever, it expires because now when everyone sees her, they think she's just this big girl toddler. First of all, don't say that to me. She's always gonna be my baby. But I completely understand what they are saying. There was a time I was excused from certain meetings and so on and so forth because I couldn't. I literally had a newborn who was solely relying on me to survive, but then now she can eat, she can be taken care of by somebody else. Excuses expire. And I say this because if Jessie and I were as close as the things we went through, like no one cared that her and I went through some traumatic experiences, right? And I didn't want to bring her up like with a crutch, you know, like her leaning on this thing, like, oh, people ever watch that show on TLC, Smothered? That's kind of what I'm trying to explain. Like where someone dresses literally like their mom, they're married, but they still just always want to be with their mom. I think it's very unhealthy. Unpopular opinion maybe, but I think it's very unhealthy. I still think at every given stage as a person, you're going to have to be independent. You're going to have to live and cleave. There's a song I have, that song I love, Dos Oruguitas, Two Oruguitas in English. Is from Encanto, the cartoon, because I love animations. Yeah, so it's a song I played, I kid you not, every day for about a month until I gave birth. And it's a story about two caterpillars, but we have to separate so we can both individually cocoon and metamorph into butterflies. And it helped me because, like I said, sudden changes I don't do too well. So I would listen and meditate, I would sing it, I would touch my belly as it's playing to sort of tell her, like, we are comfortable, we love this thing, you being in my stomach, I'm tired, I'm throwing up, I want you out, but I still love having you this close. Because now I was feeling the reality that before I could just be like, no, the kid can't eat this. I decided everything, for lack of a better term, that happened to Jessie while she was in me. But then when she was born, everyone could touch her, people could feed her, whatever. Like losing that control was hard, and I knew that it wasn't me being crazy. It's because my body got so used to being the one to protect her. So I had to mentally prepare for that and separate. The same thing happened when I had to wean her. I was playing the same song because it was very hard for the both of us, because that would be the first time she would literally physically be cut off from me. She did not need me to survive. And for her, like, it was our bonding thing. When she was hurt, when she was sad, when she was happy, it was what she wanted. So when we both sort of had to grow up, because look at what ended up happening, you will see. But mama's busy. So I needed her to not be like, sometimes she would just cry. She'd refuse every beverage. She's just throwing up. That would be the unfortunate reality. Even when we take those trips to Lusaka, she's just bumper to bumper my number with me. And so I knew I had to cut her off. But what people don't know in the background, that same day I win Jessie, someone was like, oh my god, you're still sagging. Why I was irritated by that is you don't know what I was going through in the background. Like, Jessie, like I said, she used to sleep with my younger sister, in fact, because I was really trying to make us separate, because I know, like, we're chemically attached, right? So she never even used to suck as much. But when my sister left, because she had to go to university, we bonded again. But that's not the only thing that happened. She got really sick because she had like a bunch of teeth coming out at the same time. Don't even ask me. No, babies get sick for other reasons. You have no idea. The fevers, the diarrhea, it was for a month, almost 2 months. The baby was just on zinc because there was this really sad day. I'll talk about it in another video. But there was this, that day was so hard on all of us. I couldn't even eat. She slept in my arms because she was so, you know, from diarrhea, not in a good place. All she could eat at that time was that, right? So the reason I weaned her wasn't because of peer pressure or because people kept saying those unnecessary comments. It was because her teeth had come out. So most of especially the tough ones, the canines, they had popped up. And Jessie also was taking it as a boss. The teething, I think she got used to the irritation. She was playing a little more independently. She wasn't just with me. So I knew like it was time. Both of us, I could see that the season was transitioning. So excuses expire. Like, now that Jessie was transitioning, I knew that excuse is over. The fact that she used to only solely depend on this, she wasn't now. She was back to eating solids properly. Excuses expired, time to cut it off. I'm saying that because I strongly believe that someone needs to hear that, because you grew up in a poor home. I posted that recently. Well, my brother and I say this all the time. I think I should put a clip right here.
Tails. Did you used to watch Sonic?
We've had this conversation 100 times. We were very close.
You just need a way to reach him without being spotted. Standard human transport.
Well, I'm always telling my husband that I grew up we grew up poor, right? So sometimes I feel like I'm asked about things like, oh my god, did you guys grow up watching on Disney? We could not afford that. Anyway, my point is, excuses expire. Just because I didn't grow up on that and I grew up on the tough, harsh, shiny, sometimes we had no electricity. The way, like a year or more, we didn't have electricity. Water, we had to be drawing from our neighbors and stuff. But God has brought us to where we are. Doesn't mean I should not trauma dump that on my kid. Like, you need to be grateful. This food I could be here today and gone tomorrow. That excuse has expired. It's got nothing to do with her. I can take that knowledge and educate her without having to traumatize her, right? Same thing with men. I saw a clip, not just men, I meant relationships. I saw a clip of a guy who was horrible to his partner, and he said, no, because when my father left me, he left me and he touched my shoulder. I'm just joking. It's time up. It's expired. Toss it up. Okay, on to the next. Adulting versus pursuing dreams. This is also something that has been on my heart, because I can insert a screenshot somewhere here, like right here, of how I get this message very frequently, especially from those who knew me growing up, like my mothers or whatever. If you've watched my generation interview with my mom, she would tell you, I think actually I was in the same talk, she would tell you, I never ever thought you would be doing social media. I never thought you'd be doing this. I never thought, because I was almost raised like her protege. Like, my mom has worked for the same company since before I was born. And even me, that's a security blanket I came to learn and have. Like, I'm going to go to school, I'll get that job, and I'll persevere and blah, blah, blah. So now I had to, how do I balance the expectations of me as an adult versus still pursuing my dreams? In seeing where the gap was, I try as much as I can to say this to my siblings, to those I'm close to, even when it comes to pursuing careers, right? You dreamt about being this, but I was given this job. You're not, you're missing the light that's right in front of you. For instance, you need to do medicine. Now I'm a clinical officer. I don't know really what the difference is, but if I'm not mistaken, those can't necessarily perform surgical procedures, right? So now you have a little more time on your hands. Why not pursue a business? You need to think about it more like SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Like, you can turn certain things into opportunities. Adulting, like I said, with excuses expiring, at some point, you need to understand, like, it's either you man up and pursue, woman up, and continue pursuing that dream if you honestly feel like you can't survive. Because I don't understand why people would get someone else's child, put them in a relationship, you hate your job, so all you do is drink yourself to a stupor because mentally you're in such a bad place, and then you've brought someone else in that world, you've reproduced a child in that world, and you were not okay. That's why I kid you not, when they tell you when you're younger, what are your hobbies and whatever, and people joke as a joke, you might not laugh, but I love it. That a friend of mine from back in the day once said, shout out to her, I won't mention her name, at least I look like I'm seeking clout. She used to crack this joke about this modeling competition where this guy or girl, whatever, was asked, what are your hobbies? And she said, sorry, I don't hobby. Love it. Just love dry jokes. Anyway, my point is, you got a hobby. I'm telling you, I've just given you the secret to life. I don't think you can add out and not hobby. Like, there's no way you're a grown person and you've not pursued those things you're actually passionate about. Whether it was dance, it was writing, it was music. In this age, if TikTok taught anybody anything, is that people were interested in the ordinary person doing the most random things, because that's who we are every day. You'll find some random person. That's why people those influencers who turn on the camera and wake up, a day in the life of, like, you have to set it up first. So why are you pretending like you just woke up? It's funny because it's not authentic. I take it however way. Potato. I think at least you're putting in the effort to entertain us, right? My point is, there's no way that you are going through your everyday life and you don't have a hobby. I don't just mean hobbies, like a passion. You're really good at art. Why aren't you drawing? Why aren't you painting? Why aren't you putting these things out there? In this economy, you can't afford to not have 7 streams of income minimum. But it's scripture. But my point is, it's not even about making money or whatever. Like, there's some things I do, like YouTube. I love this. It gives me a pep in my step. Like, it keeps me motivated and it keeps me going, especially on the not great days, right? And I promise you, with adulting, you need that. You need that. Okay, so since I've spoken, lastly, what I'm going to talk about. Since I have spoken about excuses expiring and so on and so forth, like, you just go out there, do not procrastinate. Lastly, I'm going to say you need to learn to cut yourself some slack. I'm saying this because just because excuses expire doesn't mean that you should toss away, like, the lessons and what those things have made you become today. I'm saying that because there's something I'm currently pursuing that you'll see soon. And every time I'm in the circle of that world of people, they don't understand. It's like I said, interacting now with people at a certain financial place. They talk to me about things like, I knew this from growing up. No, this it's just God being God, right? I didn't grow up remotely close to any of these things that I have and live in and experience at this moment. I don't use it as an excuse to trauma dump. I don't use it, but I also don't want you to think that I'm here and I didn't put in the work. Does that make sense? So I don't have to come on YouTube and explain, you guys, the way I grew up, so please don't back of my views because it's us the tough people. No, that's what I mean when I say excuses expire. But I also want to let someone drag me in the mud like I did work very hard to get here. Sometimes God is going to put you in positions where you're the youngest and people hate you because of that. God is going to put you in positions where He's given you such a beautiful talent in terms of whatever, singing. Like the way I feel like the Cristiano Ronaldo Messi battle. It's like people think Messi is naturally talented, Cristiano, but had to work hard. And my point is, both there's room for everybody to shine at the top. But you as a person, like, give yourself a round of applause. Like, it's okay that your personal wins. I've shared before that the Lord once told me, Christina, it's okay for you and I to have secrets. And what I enjoy about that is no one will know what I'm putting in the background. Like, for instance, someone can see me today and they're like, oh my God, it's just crazy that you never completely snap back after having a baby. Okay, thank you for the information we didn't need. But at the end of the day, I won't react like that. But I'll be like, oh, really? Crazy. But in the background, I'm proud of my body because of all the work I've personally put in. The Pilates, the drinking waters, the just pushing myself to be in a healthier place is all I care about. So I give myself a round of applause because I deserve it. And I really think in this day and age, you need to learn to do that. Someone will come and tell you, Nanga, those pimples. At the time I had a bad outbreak because I was in the hood. I was in the That's where I was working. I don't know, everything was just full-maling. I just don't think I was. But then, like, my skin started getting better, right? And that's primarily, I love makeup. Trust me, when I started doing makeup, but Christina all of a sudden is a beauty. No, I like it. I really love it. I just feel like I'm very specific about what I put on my face because of what I've gone through. And everyone was just like, ugh. Girl, have you tried drinking water and whatever? Like, but I could see the improvements. Like, at least it's not itching today. Oh, at least it's drying up. At least it's whatever. More than I would focus on what people say, because trust me, you're going to need it. Because random things happen. That happened to me just after I came out from the theater, giving birth to my daughter. I had a reaction from head to, when I tell you the soles of my feet, like they were rough like a road. I don't know what, and I react to all drugs. I don't know what they injected me with that I reacted to. Story for another day. But my point is, everyone was like, oh my God, and me, I'm just thinking, I survived. You good girl. We'll work on everything else later. It doesn't even matter. With that said, there's some big things I would like to share with you that I haven't. There's some big things I'd like to share with you in the coming videos. But for now, here's a hint.